320 cannot, all caps lock, under any circumstances. Ooh, interesting. Discharge without a trigger pull. That is a fact.
Safety might be working, but the other safeties might not have been. So let's see. Did you see that? Holy crap!
Guns don't unalive people, people unalive people, right? Well, not this thing. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. And if you thought it couldn't get any worse for SIG or SIG's influencers, yes, a new video had just come out from the Wyoming Gun Project. This video is going super viral, where he's actually been able to demonstrate the ability to make a P320 discharge uncommanded, and he can do it over and over and over again, and it takes barely nothing. It's an absolutely nuts video. All right, so we're going to watch that video today. I'm going to explain a little bit about it, and then I'm going to talk about safety with a weapon system in a holster, because there's a lot of people in the comment section who just fundamentally don't understand weapon safety, and I think we need to clear some things up. All right, so don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps the channel. Follow us on Patreon. Grab some merch. Let's jump into it. First thing, of course, we're going to do is watch this video from the Wyoming Gun Project, because, guys, when I saw this, I was like, holy shit, SIG is completely effed. This video is absolutely crazy. So let's jump into it and watch this thing, because this video, again, is super wild.
And it getting caught up on that, or maybe you're putting input on the trigger and you've only gone less than a millimeter through the firing sequence, through the actual movement of the sear down is less than 1 millimeter. And we're going to see if it'll set the cartridge off. I don't know. We'll try it a couple times. It might not. This safety might be working, but the other safeties might not have been. So let's see. Did you see that? Holy crap! Holy crap! It did it.
All right, so that video is insane for how easy he was actually able to get that 320 to discharge uncommanded, all right? But I've seen sort of a lot of confusion in his comment section, different comments talking about this, talking about, oh, well, there's a screw up in the trigger system. Okay, guys, all this screw, all he's doing, right, is taking this screw and putting a tiny, tiny bit of pressure on this trigger and then sliding the screw up there to hold the pressure down, all right? And as you see with mine, I mean, the screw's in there. I even have an external manual safety that's engaged on this, and I can't do anything with the trigger. The trigger can't move anywhere, okay, because the safety's on. That's the way the gun is supposed to work. If there's, especially with an external safety, the gun should not be firing no matter what. I mean, even if, right, the safety's on, no matter what I do with this gun should not be firing under any circumstance. But as you can see, it is.
Movement in the firing sequence, again, once you get past the pre-travel and hit that wall, once you hit the wall, less than a millimeter of movement, and you saw my finger wasn't on it, okay? And when I throw that case, it's right here. Holy shit. And we caught it on camera.
All right, so to his point, what he's talking about here and why this is so crazy unsafe, right, is the trigger, of course, has some slack in it, right? You can move some slack. But once it hits what's called the wall, or this actual pressure, that's where he's putting just a millimeter of pressure into the gun, which, again, I can do this. This is, don't even have the safety on, and the trigger's not going to press, right? If I press the trigger all the way, the gun goes off. But just this, just a teeny tiny bit of pressure and then squeezing the top of the slide, boom, gun's going off. Why is that a huge problem? Well, less than a millimeter pressure, guys, a millimeter of pressure is like the tapping it with the tiniest little bit of pressure you could ever think of. If that's in a duty holster with a police officer who's rolling around trying to detain a suspect and there's all kinds of stuff getting banged around in his holster, or somebody in the military, that is insanely unsafe. All right, now just a quick montage of him making it discharge uncommanded 4 more times in a row, just as easy as the first one.
Let's see. Now that should be roughly a millimeter or less of input into the trigger. And if you touch the slide, let's see if we can touch the slide and get it to go off. Well, that's 2 in a row. Staged at a millimeter or less as measured on the table. So this is just a guesstimate. And if we put some input into the slide somewhere, will it go off again? Will it release? Let's see. That's 3 in a row. I'm guessing we're roughly a millimeter to less than a millimeter of engagement on that trigger. And let's see if we can get it to go off again. That was 4. All right, now let's see. Why on earth would you be able to touch the slide at all? You should be able to put half at less than a millimeter as measured on the tabletop. So there's 5. We were able to get it to go off 5 times in a row.
All right, so there you go. He was not only able to demonstrate how easy it is to make this thing discharge uncommanded, but he was also able to repeat it over and over and over again in a way that this gun should absolutely never, ever go off like that. Again, tiny little bit of pressure on this trigger while manipulating the slide and the gun goes off through safeties. Nah, dog. Sorry, SIG. That ain't acceptable in any way. Now, we need to talk about, there's just fundamental misunderstandings about why this is so unsafe. I don't know if they're SIG fans or just people who are maybe new to firearms, but we're going to talk about that here in a second. When you're talking about being unsafe, guys, imagine you're on the range. Somebody's got a 320. It uncommands discharge. It shoots them. You need to carry them to safety. Are you in good enough shape to do it? Well, with our partners over at Modern Athlete Strength, the best strength and conditioning, performance-based fitness program out there, you'll be able to just fine. Check.
All right, guys, I'm here to talk about our partners over at Modern Athlete Strength, the premier online tactical and performance-based fitness coaching app. All right, if you don't already know about Modern Athlete Strength, it's the weightlifting program and conditioning program that I use, and a lot of military, special ops, police officers, fire department are all going the route of performance-based functional fitness. So if you're not sure where to start, this app is fantastic. It lays everything out for you. You have online coaches you can talk to directly, modify programming. All right, it's gonna get you in the best shape of your life, right? So it's a lot more than just heading in, working on some beach muscles. You're actually gonna be functionally fit, be able to protect yourself, protect your family, and you're gonna look good as well. Head on over, check out our programming, become part of the community. Let's do it.
All right, now, safety. We got to talk about this because I've gone through the comment section, especially in the last video I did about the airman who unfortunately lost his life due to this weapon system, and so many comments of people, oh, the universal basic safety rules, never point a weapon at anything you don't intend to destroy, right? Yes, that is the second universal basic safety rule. We all know that. However, that does not pertain to a holstered weapon. Okay, I don't know how this is so hard to understand for so many people. And that's what makes this gun so goddamn unsafe, is this issue. A holstered weapon, pistol especially, is considered in safe condition. How the would you be able to carry it otherwise? Think about it this way. Appendix carry. That weapon is pointed at you, and not just at you, at some very sensitive areas potentially at all times. Your huevos and Jimmy, right? Or your femoral artery, depending on how you're carrying it. That's just the way it goes. Why is that safe? Because a holstered weapon is considered in safe condition. Also, even in duty carry, okay? An outside the waistband duty holster, still, as you're moving around walking, that gun is flagging your ankle and foot all the time. You're constantly pointing this weapon at yourself. Think about a rifle, an M4, right? If it's slung and at my feet and I'm running around, that's flagging my legs and feet all the time. Why is all of that considered safe? Why are all those times considered safe for the weapon to be pointed at you? Well, because again, you either have a safety on the gun or you have a holstered gun. That's why it's safe. Okay, so yes, is it potentially not a good idea to take your holster off and place the gun down, point it at yourself? I mean, sure, if it's a 320, but other than that, no, there's absolutely no reason whatsoever that anyone can say that this weapon should be going off in a holster with a safety on. No excuses. Now, what makes this even a bigger problem is that this SIG is the pistol that tons of law enforcement departments and the entire U.S. military is using in a duty capacity, right? So we're talking about the issue that's making this gun go off is a little bit of jostling in the slide system and tiny pressure on the trigger in a duty holster, which again, with a job like law enforcement or military, potentially, again, rolling around, apprehending suspects, this thing's getting banged on things all the time. That can't happen. That can't be happening with a duty job like that, right? So kind of makes sense of why the main place we're seeing this is with law enforcement and now military. It's no different than why a gun not being drop safe to where it drops on the ground and goes off is because in duty capacity jobs, you never know what's going to happen with things like that. Okay. So thank God law enforcement departments are getting rid of this thing, but the military still being silent on this. Yeah, that's a no-go, dog. I'm not really sure, especially with this video coming out, the FBI report, and airman just, losing his life to this thing. This shit's got to go. Like, there ain't no more excuses for SIG on this one. It's a gun. It's not built correctly. That's all there is to it. Yes, it's going to cost you millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to recall if you're SIG. Also, it's probably going to make your company go bankrupt if you lose the military contract, but maybe you should, because SIG's responses to this have been like the most disgusting thing. So let's take a look at this response. All right, check this out from SIG. The 320 cannot, all caps lock, under any circumstances, ooh, interesting, discharge without a trigger pull. That is a fact. Well, unfortunately, SIG, we just watched a video disproving that 5 times in a row. The allegations against the 320 are nothing more than individuals seeking to profit or avoid personal responsibility. I mean, I've done a bunch of content on this. I've got no skin in the game. Shit, I own your product. But SIG doesn't pay me any money. And also, no other gun company, none. I don't have a single firearms sponsor pays me any money. And I have done plenty of content on why this piece of shit needs to be off the shelves. Okay. So no, it's not that people are trying to profit off of you, SIG. And then they go with it's a political attack, right? Recently, anti-gun groups, members of the mainstream media, trial attorneys, and other uninformed and agenda-driven parties have launched attacks on one of SIG Sauer's most trusted, most tested, and most popular products, the P320 pistol. In all cases, these individuals have an ulterior motive behind their baseless allegations that the 320 can fire without a trigger pull. They have no evidence, no data, no empirical testing, support of any of their claims. They instead choose to misrepresent clear, negligent discharges as a design problem. Oh, that thing did not age well, just like straight sour milk. Just, of course, this is like the classic Tim Kennedy defense, right? Like, when you're the problem, you need to lash out and attack everybody else that's like identifying the problem. But also, here's the other thing, guys. When they talk about anti-gun groups, you know what the worst possible thing for the 2A community to have, for the left to have, is a proven fact, because what's the right say? Guns don't unalive people, people unalive people, right? Well, not this thing, obviously. So if you're the left, yeah, this thing is a perfect example of why these aren't safe. Okay, so you're not doing any benefits to the 2K community with this piece of shit. You are causing massive potential problems, right? With a gun that's going off by itself. That's going to feed in to leftist hysteria. All right, so let's wrap it up. My final thoughts on this. Guys, I've been doing content here and there on this thing for months, some of it funny and making fun of DJ for, saying this is the best gun on the market, when now, unfortunately, it's the most unsafe gun on the market and been proven to be. But, I've said from the beginning, if months and months and months ago, you can check back all the videos I've done on this thing. I have said, I do not suggest anyone buys this. I do not suggest anyone carries this, anyone uses it. One, we know it's unsafe now, but 2, it's just not a good pistol. It's just not that good. You can get, for your money, something way safer and way better, right? Or, if you want something that is one of the best guns on the market, you're going to pay a little bit more, get yourself a Walther, Staccato, whatever. Stay away from SIG. Also, when we look at SIG's response there, because people were like, oh, well, is it okay to get the 365 or whatever? And I say, why would you want to give another dime to this company after their response to this? That's why I don't want to support SIG. Right. I'm not going to sell these either. I see a lot of people sell them. Absolutely, under any circumstance, do not sell these. Okay. The biggest reason why is you potentially are selling this to someone who doesn't know any better and isn't following this, maybe a new shooter, and now they're carrying around a weapon system that's dangerous. Okay, so if you don't want to just throw it in the trash, which I'm considering to a video where like maybe I demolition this thing, might be funny, but just put it in the safe. Don't touch it. Don't use it. And again, don't sell it. Don't do a disservice to the broader firearms community by doing that. Okay, so this is that video. Again, it's going super viral. I think it's got almost 500,000 views. So well done by the Wyoming Gun Project for figuring that out. How he figured that out, I don't know, but yeah, it's 2 days. Again, it's like 2 days in with like 500,000 views. So I think that's going to be the nail in the coffin for SIG. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And yeah, it's going to do it for this one. Have a good day.